What is up, guys? Christian here with Nuts and Knife Reviews, and this is going to be an in-depth look and review of the GEC 73 frame. I've got two examples here for you today on the review table. One is Northfield trim premium pen and pocket knives, hammer tested frozen forged blades of 1095 carbon steel, and this one is in tractor red jig bone. Next one I've got for you guys is a Great Eastern Cutlery branded knife. So that's your Acorn Shield knife with 440C stainless steel blades. Nicely made, and this one is in Sheffield tobacco jig bone. So let's start it. Let's unpack the tubes, see what we've got going on. This is our Northfield Unexcelled. Put that here, and we'll open the GEC branded 73. Gorgeous. So which one should we start with first? Yeah, you know what? I will start with the GEC branded knife first. So guys, the 73 pattern, if you don't know, along with the 23 pattern, are the knives that started GEC. These are remakes of an original pattern by Remington, the Bullet Trappers, and I think they were a great knife for Bill to choose to start with. So what we've got here is a main drop point blade and a secondary spay. See here, and the drop point has their trademark etch on there. This is serial number 101. I believe they made, just over 160 of these knives. Made a good amount of them. This was the most, this cover was the one they made the most of, but it's just as special in my opinion for this sole reason. This is one of the 1,500 knives that Bill and his crew at GEC made for 2006, and that was from August to the end of 2006. 1,500 knives, and this is one of them. Makes it pretty special in my collection, and it's the center of my collection. And so I think this is a great setup. At first, when I looked at these knives, I didn't realize how small they really were. I mean, these are small enough to get in your hand, do some real work, but they're not ginormous knives like I thought it was going to be. They looked like a Madison Barlow. Of course, a Madison Barlow is a bigger 74 frame, much larger 74 frame. But this is basically that same size as a 74. It is the same size as a 74. It just has this middle hump and flat bolsters. But I gotta say, I was wrong. These are, like I just said, they're really nice in the hand, and whether you get a single or two-bladed variant, they are great EDC blades. Of course, these are not going to be EDC blades. These are in my collection, and for good reason. I'll just go through these things with you. I'm not too keen on it. I don't really care personally, but I know some guys do. Blade centering is good on the spade blade. The drop point here probably could be over from where we're looking at it. Could have been put over to the pile side. I'm sorry, the mark side just a bit. Could have been brought over just a bit on that side. Sunken at the half stop. Doesn't matter, and it really has to be because of those sunken joints. I'm sorry, because of those flat bolsters, everything being flat, it kind of has to be. So there's no getting around that. It's just the design of it. Really nice. I'm not really for picking these traditional pocket knives apart because they are handmade. There are hundreds of processes these knives go through. They go through hands through the process, and human error is always a factor. And the prices we pay for them, guys, are well worth it considering what we see on eBay and just the secondary market in general. These knives are worth every penny we pay for them. Look at these Sheffield tobacco jigged bone handles. These are, I think these are my favorite handles I have on any GEC knife, or any pocket knife rather. Paired up with that acorn shield, it's just a winning combo. Really nice. I love it. Deep brown, and then we get to this almost beige tan color. It's really nice. It's really intricate jigging, as you can see here. Let's do a pan around real quick. For being their first knives, they did an extremely nice job with them. These are two ginormous slabs of bone on there too. That's what I noticed when I first got this was, holy crap, look how ginormous the covers they put on there were. Everything was rounded very nicely, and since it is from 2006, it does have a little bit of patina on the back springs, or rather, I'm sorry, the brass liners. So that's the GEC version. Let's move over to the Northfield version. And like I said, this is in tractor red jig bone handles. And I think my camera might be picking these up just a little too saturated. These handles are not that red. They almost look neon pink from what I'm seeing in the viewfinder. A little bit more toned down than that, but they are gorgeous. And the light bounces off them and makes it look just superb. And this one features a liner lock as well, which is not a common feature on the 73 or any GEC pattern for that matter. See that Northfield unexcelled etch. And some guys I've heard do not like the etches on a GEC. I don't mind them, especially now that I've discovered flits. If I ever want to throw a knife into EDC use, you just flits off that etch, guys, and 90% of it is gone, and it'll become, you know, totally covered by a patina anyways, so yeah, there's no need to worry about that. So I'll bring this into full open. 1 of 50 is on the other side. Speaking of which, this one is, the other one was serial number 101, This one is serial number 2. So it's really gorgeous, and it's also a rare knife. So GEC, I'm assuming, has number 1. I think I had seen this one in their display cabinet. They have displays of all the knives that they make, and they pick ones out of their runs and serialize them number 1 and place them in their displays. So I believe number 1 is at the factory. And so you guys are probably wondering, how did this schmuck get a number 2 serialized pocket knife? How did you get it? That's going to bring me to a story, guys. And I'm going to try and make this kind of short and sweet, but I feel as though I need to, there's no way to understate the importance of it. So here it goes. I went to the factory, about 2 weeks ago. And upon my arrival, when I was talking to Chris, finally got into the storeroom. I'm used to seeing their storeroom completely empty. The time I was there previously, Chris had told me, Christian, we're literally shipping knives out as fast as we can make them. So the store basically gets nothing. What happened was I went in there and saw all these knives, and I especially saw knives from, going back to 2007. So I'm asking her, where did you get all these knives? And she looked at me and she said, well, there was a dealer who passed away. Those of you who don't know, the dealer she is talking about is Bob Andrews of Old 100 Collectibles. She said he passed away, and so we bought all of his stock in GECs, and some of those knives were the ones you see that were, from 2007, 2008, going on up. And she said the only thing we can conclude is that these knives were part of his own personal collection. And I don't know why the family didn't want them. I don't know how. I don't understand. But GEC got them, and I just couldn't leave without one. So I got one, and this Tractor Red jig bone is the one from Bob's own personal collection. I'm blessed to have the knife, guys. It's a bittersweet acquisition because I wouldn't have acquired this knife if Bob hadn't passed on. He was battling cancer, had lost the fight towards the end of the summer, I believe, passed away, and it's just it's a terrible thing. You never like to hear of someone passing on in the knife community. We're a tight-knit family, and when someone passes on, it kind of affects all of us in one way or another. And even though I didn't do any business with Bob, I had heard lots of stories about him being a fair man, would talk on the phone for hours with you about knives, and was just a real nice individual, a nice human being. And I'm saddened to say I never did business with him. So this knife is my connection to Bob, and I will never sell this knife, no matter what. It will go to my kids, and hopefully from my kids on to their kids, and so on and so on. So that's that. I wanted to mention that. I think knives are not used sometimes because they do carry a great story with them. And this one is not only great, it's a sad story, but it's the one that comes with the knife. So that one will not be put into use, nor will my 06 GEC 73. So that's that. That's the story of this knife. And I'm proud to own it. Really proud to own it. But before I bought that knife, I had this knife with me. And so I wasn't going to buy this knife at first, and so I went into my car, grabbed the 06 knives tube, and I went to Bill, and I asked him to sign my tube, guys, and my knife tube, and he grumbled. He didn't want to do it. He was telling me, oh, do you really want me to do that? I'm going to be devaluing that knife. It won't be the original tube anymore. I go, you're not going to devalue it. So, just another great story I have as well. The people at GEC are just so nice. They're such nice people, and I just like it that Bill's willing to talk with you no matter what age you are, and he treats you like an adult. I'm not an adult, I don't think, and he talked to me like I was his equal. He doesn't look down upon you. He's willing to talk about knives and not belittle you if you don't know anything about them. And of course, we know Bill is heavily involved with his company. He's always on the floor. He's hardly ever in his office. And he loves giving tours. So this was just an awesome thing he did for me. So I think that just about does it. Oh, one more thing. This is a public service announcement. GEC tubes from 2006 to I think around 2008. If your tube comes from a dealer with a tube label on top and it has this label on the back, this tube label on the back, the tube label on the back is actually the one that came from the factory. This one on the cap is not from the factory. This is not something the factory did. This is something that was added by whoever owned this knife previously. That is the one that was signed by either Chris or Patty back in the day. So that's the original. This was added. This is not right. So there we go. So throw them away. They are not the ones that came with your tube. Your tube didn't come with anything. That's why on this 08 knife there is no tube label on the cap. It's on the back. It's how they did it back then. It wasn't until after 2008 that they started to put, I have my GEC 15 Tom's Choice Barlow cap here, when they started to put the label on the tube cap instead. So, quick little public service announcement. Just wanted to get that out there, just in case there are other guys out there who think, oh, that's the way factory did it, don't touch it. No, rip that off. That's not the way it was done. So, man, this was a long video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, please hit the subscribe button. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.